told you so. I'm a kid in the candy store, put the leather on the denim. I ain't the cure, I'm the venom. If you wanna find me, find the taillight. Something's coming in, you're gonna wanna take a red eye. It's time to go. It's time to go. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready. Don't blink, don't blink. Get ready. Get ready.
Okay, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Magandang gabi, magandang umaga, depende kung saan parte ng mundo kayo naroroon. At narito naman po tayo dito sa Ang Maestro at ito ang inyong lingkod, Ado Paglinawan, na nagdudulot sa inyo ng mga lektura para hindi kayo malanse ng mga propaganda at mga taong naghahasik ng kabalintunan, kasinungalingan at kalokohan. Marami po niyan ngayon. At dito po sa Pilipinas, napag-uunahan na tayo ng panahon dahil mahilig po tayong mag-whining. We can belly ache all we want and throw our endless legalisms, mga kabansa, against the Chinese Coast Guard's water cannons and green lasers. But if we continue to allow lawyers to run our lives, mga kabansa, hindi ko naman nilalahat, we will never see the end ng ating mga kasipayuan sa South China Sea. Alam po ninyo, mga legalismo will not take us anywhere. In fact, ang mga abogado po, mga high-paid lawyers, mga abogados de campanillas, o abogadas de campanillas, abogados de campanillos, have already betrayed us. No? At lahat na lang ng tao dito sa gobyerno ni Marcos ay may sariling foreign policy. At sila na, hindi ang Pangulo ang nagtatalaga nito. Isang kasipayuan din yan po sa konstitusyon na ang intensyon ay ang Pangulo maging Chief Architect of Foreign Policy. Tulad po nitong the municipality o Pag-asa. No? They can declare the Chinese ambassador persona non grata anytime. But are the people there, kayo po bang mga nandyan sa Pag-asa? No? Aware po ba kayo na mga abogados have already excised you? Hinihiwa na po kayo from being part of the Philippine territory. The legal surgery, in fact, mga kabansa, if you may say so, started in 2009. Kaya po ang ating episode ngayon, ang title ay Berdugo ng Kalayaan. Ito po ay tungkol sa mga nawawalang mga teritoryo ng Pilipinas at kung paano natin mababawi. At ang paglabas ng bagong mapa mula sa China, mga kabansa. So, nagsimula tayo sa munisipyo ng Pag-asa. Tanungin natin, may pag-asa pa ba ang Pag-asa? Ayan po, Pag-asa Island, Municipality of Kalayaan, Province of Palawan, Philippines. No? Ayun. Ayan, mga kabansa. May pag-asa pa ba ang Pag-asa? May liwanag pa ba ang parola? Yan. Bakit natin nasabi yan? Bakit natin nasabi yan? Dahil balisang-balisa na naman po ang ating Pangulo na nag-a-announce na walang teritoryo ng Pilipinas ang mawawala. Well, I have good news for you, Bongbong Marcos. Nawala na. Believe it or not, yung Pag-asa o T2 Island at Parola are no longer part of the Philippines technically. First, the archipelagic nature of the Kalayaan Island Group was removed by law and reclassified as a regime of islands. Second, the 2016 arbitral award did not accept their classification as islands. They were mere rocks as per the International Hydrographic Center. And those rocks were not awarded to the Philippines. And worst of all, this law that I'm talking about delineated a 200 nautical miles exclusive economic zone from the Palawan coast. But guess what? No? Pag-asa and Parola are about 230 nautical miles from the Palawan coast. So they are outside. They are even outside they're even outside our exclusive kuno economic zone. Paano ito nangyari, mga kabansa? Alam po ninyo, bigyan natin ng kaunting background pa. No? Ang Kalayaan Island Group po ay sinimulang sakupin ng Pilipinas, okupahan ng Pilipinas, itong 12 features noong pag 1968, 10 years or more after a certain Cloma started claiming it for his own as his own islands because they were relatively unoccupied, abandoned. No? So, noong July 11, 1978 po, ang Pag-asa, Likas, Parola, Pugad, Lawak, Kota, Patag, Melchor Aquino, Panata, Balagtas, Ayungin at Rizal ay isinama maliban sa Pugad dahil 3 years earlier ay ninakaw na ito sa atin ng Vietnam. No, ang Pugad. May maganda pong istorya dyan pero hindi natin tatalakayin dyan ngayon. At ito po ay pinagsama-sama ni President Marcos Sr. sa isang archipelago as a single unit under Presidential Decree 1596. At ito po ay tinalaga noong June 11, 1978. Marami pong numero tayong babanggitin ngayon, kaya sumubaybay lamang kayo, at huwag kayong mawawala. Ito po ay 230 to 290 square kilometers of territorial land. No? Sa Wikipedia po, no? Ay 290. Pero sa mga newspaper reports, kung minsan bumababa ito ng 230. 168,349 square kilometers of territorial sea. Pero mga kabansa, dahil sa Republic Act 9522, from an archipelago, ito po ay ni-reclassify into a regime of islands. At diyan nagsimula ang ating problema. Alam po ninyo mga kabansa, ang namanan natin sa mga Amerikano, no? At kuha naman ang mga Amerikano sa pamamagitan ng pagbili sa mga Kastila, ay ito pong rectangular treaty limits delineation ng Philippine Islands. Ayan po mga kabansa. Kaya tinalagang baselines in longitudes and latitudes ng Treaty of Paris 1898, yan po ang korte ng Pilipinas. No? Pero sinabi ko kanina na ito ay pinakialaman ng Republic Act 9522. The Philippine Baselines Law that was enacted on March 10, 2009, amending Republic Act 3046 and 5446. Ito po ay challenge ng mga protesters at pinangunahan ito ni Melvin Magallona, isa pong propesor sa Universidad ng Pilipinas, to challenge before the Supreme Court. Ito po ay naapirma ng Korte Suprema noong August 16, 2011. In other words, hindi ito diniklara na unconstitutional. Ito ay pinayagan ng Korte Suprema. Na ang ponente po ng desisyon ay walang iba kundi ang ating suki sa programang ito, si Associate Justice Antonio Carpio. Mga kabansa. No? Ayan po, mula doon sa rectangular na hugis, ang hugis po ng baselines ng Pilipinas ay naging triangular, katulad nitong nasa kanan ko. Ayan, mga kabansa. Ang official map na nilambag ng ating Kongreso at inapirma naman ng ating Korte Suprema. Pero hindi po ito ang katapusan ng mga mapa. Ano po ang mga argumento ni Magallona? Sinabi po ni Magallona na ang batas reduces the Philippine maritime territory and logically the reach of Philippine state sovereign power in violation of Article 1 of the 1987 Constitution, embodying the terms of the Treaty of Paris and ancillary treaties. Babanggitin natin yan mamaya, yung mga ancillary treaties at kung ano ang kinontribute niyan bukod sa Treaty of Paris. Sinabi po ni Magallona et al. Section 1 limited the eastern and western extent of the Philippines as close as possible to 12 nautical miles of territorial sea from the coast of our territorial land to conform to UNCLOS rather than i-demarcate nila ang historic archipelagic nature of our country bago pa man mag-UNCLOS na na-adapt lamang noong 1982 at nag-epekto lamang noong 1994. Yan po mga kabansa. No? Note that the Philippines, as an archipelago delineated by the Treaty of Paris of 1898, ay na-reduce into what it is now by a mere internal law, changing the boundaries of the Philippine territory, yung sinabi natin kanina, from a rectangular form to a triangular one. No? At kinelaim ng mga nag-oppose dito sa batas na ito na 15,000 square nautical miles daw lamang ang nawawala. Of course, sa aking pananaw, mas malaki pa at patutunayan ko sa inyo yan mamaya. Ayan mga kabansa. So, paano? Paano nawala ang ating Kalayaan polygon? Ayan, gagamit na tayo ngayon ng ating pluma dahil kailangan na ng guidance. Ayan. Okay. What the PD, Presidential Decree 1596, created as part of the continental margin. Ayan po. Yung continental margin, ayan. No? Reflecting the connectivity of the Kalayaan Island Group as a polygonal. Ito po ang korte ng polygon. Yan. Polygonal archipelago attached to the larger Philippine archipelago. Yan. At the limits of the Treaty of Paris. Ito po ang Treaty of Paris, kung tatandaan nyo yung rectangular na yan. At yan po ay sabi nga natin kanina, covering 168,000 square kilometers of water and a land area playing anywhere between 230 to 290 square kilometers, mga kabansa. No? Ayan. So, yan. Bukod dito, ito po ang longitudes. Ganito po ang ayos ng titulo, kumbaga. Kayo familiar sa titulo? Ito po ang ayos ng titulo. Yung pong mga longitudes and latitudes ng PD 1596, delineating the Kalayaan baselines as a territorial archipelago. Alright. Ano ibig sabihin ng archipelago? It is a combo of water and land taken as a single unit. Yun po ang general, although may mga technical description na yan. At tinalaga ni Marcos, tingnan po ninyo, no? Additional, no? Kumbaga, drenowing yung polygon attached to the treaty limits of 1898 Treaty of Paris, dyan po, bukod dyan, ay nagtalaga pa ng 200 nautical miles EEC to the Kalayaan Polygon sa isang subsequent Presidential Decree 1599. Ayan mga kabansa, no? Bakit kay Marcos yan? Dahil po noon, ay Marcos had legislative powers. Sandali lang po, inom tayo kaunti. And the President, under the 1973 Constitution, could issue decrees that has the weight of legislation. So siya po ang nag-legislate nito in the form of presidential decrees 1596 at 1599. Ayan mga kabansa. Alright? So, punta tayo sa susunod. What is the next? Pero mga kabansa, kung natatandaan ninyo, nung panahon ni Noynoy Aquino, ito ay sinumite. No? Ito po ay sinumite sa isang arbitral tribunal. We will assume, for the sake of argument, na okay. We assume okay. Katanggap-tanggap. For now. No? Pero, ito bang regime of islands na itinalaga ang Kalayaan instead of an archipelago ay pumasa sa arbitral tribunal na mismong Pilipinas ang tumawag? Hindi po. It was not approved. According to the International Hydrographic Center, islands are naturally formed areas of land surrounded by water, mga kabansa, that can support economic activity or human habitation. Yan, mga kabansa. And as such, kung yan ay isang island, pwede siyang bigyan ng 200 nautical miles pa ng EEC. So medyo tinabla ng desisyon ng arbitral tribunal ang pagiging isla ng mga binanggit nating isla kanina comprising the Kalayaan Island Group. Pero tinalo niya. Tinalo niya. Dahil ito po ay classify niya as rocks. And as rocks, hindi siya pwedeng mag-generate. Hindi siya pwedeng mag-generate ng 200 nautical miles from where it is. Rocks are land features surrounded by water that cannot sustain human habitation or economic life of its own. Maaari siyang i-claim, at kumbaga yun ang island, ay bibigyan siya ng 12 nautical miles of territorial sea, and maybe, depending on the island, another 12 nautical miles of contiguous zone. Ayan. Yun po ang nakalagay dito. Pero as rocks, hindi siya pwedeng bigyan ng EEZ, Exclusive Economic Zone. Ayan ang kalagayan. Paano ngayon kung hindi nagdudugtong itong outer limits of maritime demarcation? Hindi siya pwedeng maging regime. Di ba? Hindi siya pwedeng maging rehimen. At ito po ang makikita natin sa susunod na slide, mga kabansa. Yeah. Under paragraph 574 of the arbitral ruling, page 259, the Philippines could not, yan mga kabansa, klarong-klaro sa inyong harapan, could not declare archipelagic baselines surrounding the Spratly Islands. So disapprove yung regime of islands at sila'y mga bato lang daw. Pero hindi rin siya pwede maging archipelago. Ang intensyon po, mga kabansa, tingnan nyo naman ang lapit. Dito sa Palawan. Katabing-katabi. Before the arbitration, the Kalayaan Island Group, everything inside this polygon, everything is Philippine territory. Pero tinablayan ng arbitral ruling. Kaya kung siya ay mga bato-bato, eto na lamang po siya. Ayan. Yun, meron pa isa doon. After the arbitration, only islands or rocks and their territorial seas. Tingi-tingi na po sila doon. Nawala na yung, at since hindi sila dugtong-dugtong, hindi sila pwedeng gawing regime, at also hindi sila pwedeng ma-declare na archipelago. Yan po ang buong katotohanan. No? Yan po ang buong katotohanan. Tuloy natin ang kwentuhan natin. Ano ang mga consequences nito? Ang mga consequences po nito, unang-una, reviewin muna natin. Marami po mga linya ito eh. So, ang old baselines law po, mga kabansa, ay itong 3, 0, or 6. At yan po yung kakulay niya, yun, na bumabagabaybay sa Palawan. Ito po ang Palawan, yung yellow. No? Ang batas po na pinasa noong 2009 ay itong 95-22. Alright. Hindi na rin po nasunod. Remember, the treaty limit, ayan, na dinudugtungan ng Kalayaan Island Group. Ito pong Kalayaan Island Group, ito po yung pula, no? Ito. Alright? And we settled for the green line because when we did the 95-22, sinabi ko nga kanina, it is really to conform to UNCLOS. So nag-confirm tayo sa UNCLOS para tayo mabigyan ng 200 nautical miles EEZ from the Palawan coast. Ayun. So nag-extend po doon at itong linya na ito, ang extend po ng ating exclusive economic zone. Mapapansin nyo po na itong dotted line na pula, mga kabansa, ay hindi nakasama. Hindi nakasama sa territorial delineation of the baseline sa RA 9522. Hindi rin kasama. Bilang teritoryo yun, 9522 as territorial land or part of the archipelago. At hindi na rin nasama as EEZ. So nawala na tayo, nabawasan na tayo dito sa pagitan ng treaty limits at ng delineation ng 9522 ng territorial waters. Dito po, ito mong nawalang ito sa pagitan ng linya. No? Nawalan pa tayo ng portion ng Kalayaan Island Group. At kung titingnan nyo itong picture sa kanan, mga kabansa, mapapansin nyo doon, maaaring napakaliit para mabasa ninyo, na yung parola at pag-asa ay labas na sa EEZ ng Pilipinas. Kanina binanggit ko rin na may mga ibang treaty, okay, kasama ng Treaty of Paris ay itong 1930 Convention Treaty, delineating what we now know as the Cebu Strait, the dividing line between Malaysia and the Philippines. Alright, ayan po. Between Turtle Islands, Taganak, and Sabah. Okay? Pero tandaan ninyo mga kabansa, Pag-asa and Parola are already outside the 200 nautical miles EEZ. Ang problema dyan, mga kabansa, ay ito. Kung kayo'y papunta ngayon sa Parola at sa Pag-asa, at ang korte ng ating mga isla ngayon ay mga butol-butol na lamang. Tulad ng nandito nga, yung pinakita natin kanina, butol-butol lang ganun. Hindi na konektado. Mula Palawan, papunta po dyan, no? Dadaan kayo sa Siam na Vietnamese islands, 4 na China, at 2 Taiwan. So, imposible po na pumunta tayo diyan ngayon na may pinanghahawakan tayo. Hindi katulad nitong dati, nalalaktaw lang tayo, ay masasabi na nating teritoryo namin yan. Dito ho, hindi. Dahil nawala ho yung archipelago. So, wag na kayong magtaka kung may mga nagpapatrolya at nagpipising dyan ng mga Vietnamese o Chinese. Ha? Tandaan po ninyo nung i-challenge ng Philippine Coast Guard, yung huling-huling challenge sa delivery of supplies do sa ating mga marino na nasa Ayungin Shoal. Ano po ang maririnig ninyo sa video? Ang maririnig ninyo sa video ay, please identify yourself. This is the Philippine Coast Guard. You are in our 200, within our 200 exclusive economic zone. Yun po yung sinabi. No? Ano po ang sagot ng Chino? Please, you are entering the sovereign territory of Lancia Islands, which is part of China. Hindi nagkakaintindihan, mga kabansa. Hindi nagkakaintindihan ng mga partido. At dito, gulong-gulo na rin. Hanggang Malacanang, gulong-gulo sila. National Security Advisor, gulong-gulo na. Coast Guard, gulong-gulo na rin. Pati Department of National Defense, gulong-gulo na. Mga kabansa. Because they are translating sovereignty against sovereign rights. Okay? Sovereignty pag-aari, sovereign rights, karapatan para to exploit economically what is under the water. Sa sovereignty, pag-aari ng estado, ng coastal state, ang teritoryo. Sa sovereign rights, karapatan po lamang. Walang pag-aari ang coastal estate. That is our first distinction between sovereignty and sovereign rights. Pero sa utak po ng mga at inuulit na rin yata ng ating Pangulo, itong what is ours is ours. Hindi po totoo yun. Because apples and oranges. Pag pinagtabi mo yan, what is not ours is not ours. Mga kabansa. Okay, balik tayo sa Supreme Court ruling. Yung petitioner's attention daw that led to the affirmation of PD 995-22 ay ito po yung chart ng extent ng maritime area using 3046, yung pong inaamyendahang batas, taking into account the Treaty of Paris delineation. Sa internal or archipelagic water, mga kabansa, $167,000 dyan. These are not square nautical miles. Extent of maritime area using Republic Act 95-22 taking into account UNCLOS in square nautical miles. Ito po ang bilang. Hindi masyadong malayo. No? In fact, ang sinasabi sa chart na ito ay nag-increase pa na about 5,000 square nautical miles. Sa territorial sea, 274,000. Pero dito sa bagong batas, bumaba na lang siya sa 32,106. At nung ito ay sumahin ko, nagkaroon ng reduction na 242,000. Pero nung idagdag ang exclusive economic zone, 383,000. Kaya nung inad lahat ito, ang lumabas na teritoryo natin is 586,000. Ang lumabas na subject of territory ownership and rights is 586,000. Pero dito, 440. Sa madalit sabi, this chart wants to show that we have, by complying to UNCLOS, increased our reach by 145,000. But I would like to disabuse your mind dahil ultimo mga protesters ay nagsasabi na ang nawala lang daw sa Pilipinas ay 15,000 square nautical miles. No? Hindi ko maintindihan yon dahil wala sa desisyon ng korte ang justification kung paano nila kinumpute yung 15,000 mile. Kitang-kita nyo naman mga kabansa, ang laki ng nawala dito. Oh. Sa tingin pa lamang, mga kabansa, oh. Ang laki na nawala. So, hindi ko matatanggap yung 15,000 lang na nawala. Para sa akin, dapat may linya dito. Bakit? Dahil ito ay territorial waters. Subject to sovereignty. Samantalang itong dinagdag lamang para magmukhang nakalamang pa tayo is only sovereign rights. At sa sovereign rights, hindi natin pag-aari. Pwede lang nating i-exploit for what is under the water. For fishing, at doon sa bedrock, mga minerals and other marine products, at doon sa ilalim, pwede nating minahin ang langis o gas na nandoon o kung anumang makukuha natin doon. Pero sa ilalim ng surface ng water. Yung itaas po ng EEZ remains to be international waters. Okay? Guaranteeing navigation, makikita natin mamaya yan, guaranteeing overflight, and even under the water, reserve ang rights sa mga submarine cables for international communications and other uses. So yan mga kabansa, ang mga technicalities. Itong sovereignty, kung ano yung nasa ilalim ng tubig, kung ano yung nasa ibabaw ng tubig, kung ano yung airspace sa itaas, pag-aari lahat yan ng coastal state. Sa sovereign rights, hindi po. At dito maraming nalilito. And in fact, I would say that during the deliberation of 95-22, mga kabansa, ay liton-lito sila tungkol dyan. What is my proof? The proof that in the decision of the Supreme Court, they were not distinguishing between what is territory from what is only use. Ito teritoryo. Kaya in effect, ito po ang sa tingin kong nawala 242 square nautical miles, and I cannot compare it. I cannot even deduct 145 to be able to say na hindi tayo gumana o nalugi pa tayo, because they are two different animals. This is territory where we exercise sovereignty. This is exclusive economic zone where we only are entitled to sovereign rights. Iba po yan. Ano ang implikasyon? Nandito tayo sa kaguluhang ito, at dahil tayo nagdidebate on the basis of sovereign rights and exclusive economic zones, and mistakenly saying that what is ours versus a superior claim by China. No? At ito pong linggong ito, mga kabansa, ito pong linggong ito, August 28, in fact, China announced its 10-dash line. So, madalit sabi, kasama sa 10-dash line na ito, ang naunang 9-dash line, idinagdag na ang Taiwan, at sinamahan pa dun sa dalawang portion na yon na hindi ko naman i-discuss dahil wala tayong pakialam doon. Dalawang northern state dito sa Arunachal Pradesh and Aksai Chin region ng India. But we will not discuss this. We will only discuss what pertains to us. Kaya nga ako'y nagtataka na ang reaksyon ng ating Pangulo ay katawa-tawa. Because ang sabi niya is that, we will defend our territory and territorial rights. Binabanggit na niya territorial rights. Naku-confuse na siya eh. Wala namang pagbabago. Kasi pagdating dito sa South China Sea, 9-dash line pa rin yan. Dahil malayo ng Taiwan, wala tayong pakialam dyan sa Taiwan. And within, ito lang ating pakialam dyan, wala namang nabago, Mr. President. Bakit mukhang, nataranta kayo? In so far as the Philippines, wala naman nagbago. So let us explain all of this with more seriousness. Unang-una, 9-dash line and international law. Ito ang reaksyon ng Department of Foreign Affairs dito sa 10-dash line ng China. This latest attempt to legitimate China's purported sovereignty and jurisdiction over Philippine features and maritime laws has no basis under international law, particularly the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Laws of the Seas. O hindi, inamin din niya na ang base lang niya ay itong UNCLOS dahil hindi ho totoo na walang basis under international law ang claim ng China. Huwag tayong, itong mga statement na ito is dishonest. In logic, this is what you call a fallacy, a false generalization. Tapos dinagdagan pa, kinumpirma. The 2016 Arbitral Award invalidated the 9-dash line. Ano ba ang rule na binabanggit dyan? And this is where, lahat ng kalaban ng China is devoting their propaganda against China's claim to sovereign rights jurisdiction and to historic rights with respect to the maritime areas of the South China Sea encompassed by the so-called 9-dash line are contrary to the convention. Hindi pwede under UNCLOS. without lawful effect to the extent that they exceed. Bakit hindi pwede sa UNCLOS? Because they exceed the geographic. Yun ang justification. Why it has no legal basis in UNCLOS? Because they exceed the geographic and substantive limits of China's maritime entitlements expressly permitted by UNCLOS. UNCLOS lang yan eh. Sasabihin mo, wala nang basis sa international law. Ano ba naman yan? Mr. Ricky Manalo, pambira naman, no? I-proofread nyo naman yung mga paktutubs nyo dyan. UNCLOS does not constitute the entirety of international law. It is only one specific treaty forming part of the set of rules, norms, and standards generally recognized as binding between states. It is a system of treaties and agreements. It is not an UNCLOS system only, but many treaties and agreements between nations that govern how nations interact with other nations, citizens of other nations, and businesses of other nations. And ito, mahuhulog kayo sa silya nyo. Kasama pa ang mga customary laws that are not written anywhere, but nations consent to them by doing nothing over time. May mga verbal. Yung mga sinasabi nyo tungkol dyan sa Sierra Madre, mag-ingat kayo dyan. Yung mga diskurso ng mga negotiation ni Antonio Trillanes, mag-ingat kayo dyan. Verbal yan. At tinatanggi niya dahil mapapahiya siya. Nag-take down notes pala si Ambassador Brady, ang ating ambassador sa China during that time. Kaya nahuli siyang umiiwas. Nahuli siyang nagsisinungaling. Ganun sa kanyang pananaw, lahat ng tao, naakasahan niyang traidor. International law and UNCLOS. 9-line, the arbitral award and historic rights. Alam po ninyo, itong arbitral award does not constitute, no? Hindi po kasama sa international law ito. The UN Charter allows voluntary arbitration between states, and decisions thereafter constitute a private law between or among parties participating. Because there was only one party to this arbitration, lahat ng nandyan sa arbitral award na yan pertains only to the Philippines. Hindi po yan katulad ng batas na domestic na decision by the court dahil hindi naman po korte ang arbitral tribunal na yan. It's not a judicial body. But a body where at least two parties are negotiating with an umpire. Pag diretso kasi bilateral negotiation, by mutual agreement. Ngayon, may mga hindi mapag-agrihan, so parties and states resort to arbitration. Mag-uusap, pero merong umpire. Yun ang mga diferensya. Kung ano man lumabas dyan sa private and voluntary arbitration na yan, mga kabansa, applies only to the parties. It becomes a private law between party A and party B or C, D, and E, depending on how many participates in the arbitration. But in this case, only the Philippines participated. So basahin niyo man yan, pagpalibalik na rin yung papel na yan, applicable lang yan sa Pilipinas. Huwag niyong pagduldulan yan sa mukha ng iba. At sabi, kinukot pa rin ibang country, including European Union. Wala kayong pakialam pa dyan mga taga-Europa. Wala kayong pakialam dyan mga taga-Estados Unidos. That arbitral award only pertains to the Philippines, nobody else. It is as unilateral as that. Pero pagpalayin na natin, may bali yan, merong balor yan. Ha? So paragraph 206, the ruling itself said, as far as the tribunal is aware, however, the most insightful formation by China of its claim in the South China Sea, beyond its claim to sovereignty over islands and their adjacent waters, is a claim to relevant rights. Relevant, hindi irrelevant. Formed in the long historical course. In the next paragraph, we continue. The mere fact that China asserts rights in the South China Sea does not indicate that China considers those rights to derive from the nine-dash line. Yung nagpupush lamang na mawala yung nine-dash line na yan, ang ganadong-ganado. O ngayon, naging 10-dash line na. Anong gagawin nyo? China's claims in the South China Sea is based on historic rights, not the nine-dash line. The nine-dash line is merely a confirmation. It is only a drawing of what is reflected in the historical rights. O now, China is saying, ang una kasi dyan, Republic of China. It was used to be an 11-dash line. Pero binigay nila yung what is within the Gulf of Tonkin sa Vietnam. So yung 11 naging 9. Kasi yung 2-dash line binigay sa Vietnam. O ngayon dinagdagan yung 9 ng isa, naging 10 na. You see? Hindi yung 9-dash line ang base. Ang base, historical rights. Mamaya baka maging 10, 11, 12 pa yan. Depende kung ano ang patutunguhan ng international affairs. Pero finally, ito mga kabats, I take this to heart, the arbitral paragraph 272, in particular, the tribunal exercises nothing, mga kabansa. In this award should be understood to comment in any way on China's historic claim to the islands of the South China Sea. So, asa na yung sinasabi ni Antonio Carpio, na walang historic basis ang claim ng China. Ang statutory construction ng China's historic rights ay sinulat ko po sa AsianCenturyPH.com under the title Antonio Carpio Escalate Lies in Esguerra's Podcast. At lumabas last week dito sa YouTube channel Teaching Lawyers the Law. It traces China's historical course pero fast-forwarded ko lang po sa 1894, the resumption of the First Sino-Japanese War. Ito po ang links. Ito po ang links. Alam po ninyo, UNCLOS is a specific treaty which was adopted in 1982. Ito po ang summary ko. And became effective only in 1994. Watch the dates closely, gentlemen and ladies. And this cannot invalidate China's sovereignty over the entire South China Sea that has been won through victory in wars fought in the Second Sino-Japanese War 1937 to 45 and World War II 41 to 45 and sealed by a series of conventions from Cairo 43 to Potsdam 45 to San Francisco 51 and to Taipei finally 1952, to the Republic of China, and then finally all the way to the UN General Assembly Resolution 5728, 1971. recognizing the People's Republic of China as the legitimate representative to the United Nations under a One China policy and successor in interest of the Republic of China. Yan po ang summary noong dalawang article na yon. Isang podcast at isang article, mga kabalsa. So dumako na tayo ngayon sa mga conclusion. No? Dahil tumatanggi si former Associate Justice Carpio na isinauli daw sa China ng Japan in the Treaty of Taipei the Spratlys and Paracels, which are territories it stole from China even before the Second World War. Pero ang sabi ko nga last week, kung yan ay totoo, then the state of war between China and Japan would still be in effect in this day and age. And this is false because there is no such war that exists, and ridiculous because it has already been corrected by history. Okay, Mr. Paglinawan, Maestro, what about China's inclusion of Taiwan in this map? New map. Well, I consider it to be long overdue. In fact, even territories that China had already lost to Japan by virtue of the Treaty of Shimonoseki ending the First Sino-Japanese War in 1895, which were Manchuria, Formosa, and the Pescadores, were also mandated by both the Cairo and Potsdam Declaration to be returned by Japan to China. Just in case you do not know. Just in case lang naman. Formosa is Taiwan. Formosa ang tawag ng Hapon. Taiwan ang tawag ng China. Besides, the inclusion in Taiwan manifests China's resolve in indicating in no uncertain terms that its would-be enemies. Taiwan is a red line core interest of PRC, and without ambiguity, this is a deterrent to war and a factor promoting peace. Kasi sinasabi na nga ng China, kasama yan sa teritoryo namin. Part ng core interest namin yan. Okay. Bon voyage, China, is to our national interest. So ano ang dapat natin gawin? Kaya tayo natatalo sa diskurso. May mga dapat tayong gawin. Unang-una, dapat ibalik natin ang Treaty of Paris limits as well as the limits of the other, because that is in our Constitution. At pangalawa, because PD 1596 and 1956 and 1599, 1956 tuloy na isulit ko. 1596 at 1599 ay batas even before the effectivity of before the adoption and effectivity of UNCLOS. We should get out of UNCLOS and this EEZ mindset. Bakit? Because sovereign rights cannot protrude sovereignty. And if China is claiming the whole of the South China Sea as their territory, sovereign territory, there is no way to project our EEZ. No way! Tapos na ang usapan. The sovereign rights cannot protrude sovereignty. Pag ayaw nung may-ari papasukin ka dyan, hindi ka makakapasok dyan. So what do we do? Ayusin muna natin ang ating homework. I-amend natin ang baseline law natin accordingly to restore what has been lost. Pangatlo, painful as it must to some people and even half of the nation maybe, we have to renounce the arbitral award as a sign of good faith. Because it's only applicable to us. We cannot even enforce it against China. We cannot even invoke it as a precedent to other countries to help us. Hindi tayo tutulungan. Huwag kayong maniwala dyan sa mga nagsasabi na, we back you up, man. No way. Kalukuhan yan. Unilateral po yan eh. It's only as good as a piece of paper, sabi ni President Duterte. And number 4, engage China in a conversation about historic rights. Ngayon, nagpalit sila ng mapa dahil sa historic rights. A new interpretation, an expansion. Leading, as we talk to them about historic rights, let us lead to agreements in what we call in international law, condominium or joint sovereignty over areas in the South China Sea. We are claiming China has to recognize at least our Treaty of Paris limits and the limits that we have with the treaty, Convention Treaty between UK and the US. At the very least, let us convince China that we are building an archipelago within archipelago, which is the Kalayaan Island Group. Huh? And let us manage this, all of this, through the condominium concept in international law or joint sovereignty. Alam po ninyo, ang East Timor at saka Australia are already doing this. Marami examples in the world. Pero yung mga bobo dyan sa Department of Foreign Affairs, hindi nyo alam yan. Ewan ko ba kung anong ginagawa nyo at sinusweldahan kayo ng gobyerno para maging mga tanga. Wala tayong maibabat-bat pa kung ipupukpok natin ang ating ulo on the basis of EEZ. No EEZ can come out of the western part of the Philippines because we will protrude the sovereignty claims of China. Gulo lang yan, water cannon lang yan, green laser lang yan, away lang, propaganda lang yan, gagamitin pa tayo ng US para magkaroon sila ng mga base militar dito. So yan, yan ang solusyon. If a new map favors China, a revised baseline law can equally work for us. A common sea is shared humanity. I derive this inspiration, ito po, sinusuhistyon ko, na gawin natin bilang isang nasyon for our national interest, from a Chinese poem written 1,000 years ago. Boundless is the ocean, where we sail with the wind. This ancient saying, which means there are no geographical limits to where we travel to meet friends, has enduring resonance in modern China. Opening a new window with China is how we can collect from Xi Jinping's promise to the Boao Forum for Asia in 2018 when Xi Jinping said, I wish to make it clear to all that China's door of opening up will not be closed and will only open even wider. Ganyan po, hindi sa pamamagitan ng legalismo. Ang punto de vista po ng mga Chino is mag-usap tayo. Pag-usapan natin, lalo na't kung meron tayong di pagkakaunawaan. Ang ginagawa natin, umahanap pa tayo ng kakampi, umahanap pa tayo ng martilyo, umahanap pa tayo ng maso para ipukpok kanino. Ulo natin ang nahahampas, mga kabansa. Kayo ba'y naniniwala dyan sa mga nagsasabi na, sige, balatan nyo, nasa likod nyo kami. Yung pong nagsasabi niyan are willing to die up to the last Pilipino. Tandaan po ninyo. At ibanggitin ng mga katoto natin na nagsubaybay ngayong araw na ito at nagkomenta at basahin natin kung meron. Lynn Mutas Sarco watching from Bacolod. Romeo Balagat, good afternoon, Sir Ado. Meron land title yung Philippines, yung Torrens title na OCT. Iba, malawak pong usapin yan, hindi ako pupunta po dyan. Enrico Abihar, pero salamat po sa inyong komenta. Magandang hapon, salamat at kaalaman at pagtutuwid ng kasinungalingan ng mga amboy. Kabataan Katipunero, greetings. Orly Dakuyanan, magandang umaga po. Kaado, you're on the other side of the world. Andres Tebes, your geopolitics never fails to amaze me, sir. China geopolitics like Japan before World War II. No ordinary time, authored by Doris Kearns Goodwin. Let's take note of that. Doris Kearns Goodwin. We can learn from this. Susan Winter, nangyari yon dahil kay Carpio and Company with a question mark. Tasio Del Mar, well-researched. Kaya ayaw at umiiwas magdebate sila Carpio sa inyo. Wala silang extensive at comprehensive research. Tama lang na sabihin baliwala yung Arbitral Tribunal Award. Sila ho nagsasabi na paulit-ulit daw kami. Ito'y bago. Sige nga, komentahan nila ito. Hindi ubra mga sinasabi ni Carpio dahil pinagpapalit na terms sa sovereign rights at sovereignty. Pati si Tariela nagsasalita ng hindi niya alam ang sinasabi. Ang mainstream media, hindi bibigyan ng space sa mga katulad nyo, Kaado. Kaya kung di pa i-share ng mga katulad naming netizens ang inyong sinasabi, ayan, mananatiling ligaw at lito ang mga tao. My hope, my walk, my faith. Ask ko lang po, bakit ngayon lang kayo nag-iingay? Matagal na po. Actually, 2009 pa, nag-iingay na ako. Lumakas lang ang boses ko noong 2015 at ngayon lalo pang lumakas dahil nandito kayo sa Katipunan Channel. Bakit? Tagal nyo tahimik. Tagal nyo tahimik. Matagal kang wala sa Katipunan Channel. Makinig ka rito. Meron din tayong unfinished revolution. Meron din tayong opinion ngayon. Bakit ngayon lang? Latent geopolitics mo. Talaga? Bakit ngayon lang? Dahil ngayon ka lang nag-tune in. Alright. San Lorenzo Ruiz, Sacramento TV. Also, TY, GTNR, Caprofado. Stay safe and God bless us all. Watching from California, USA. Reynaldo Lazaro. Ang what is ours ngayon. 2016 arbitral ruling, Treaty of Paris, Republic Act 3046, RA 95, pinaglalaban ng mga patriotic American boys. LC Chan, Kademokratiko, good PM po lahat. Pearly Beth Pakibot, good PM po Kado, watching from Mindanao. Nel, Seya Tasara, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Good PM po, Kado. Thank you for a nice, informative show. I'm just wondering why after all the talk on Kalayaan Islands is the government not making an effort about the Sabah issue which more clear to be part of the Philippines. Dito po sa aking iminumungkahi, masasama na po dito ang usapin ng Sabah. Dahil ito po ang isa sa mga nilaktawan ng Republic Act 9522 na itinalaga naman sa mga naunang mga batas na babalikan ang issue ng Sabah sa nararapat na panahon. Ayan, mga kabansa. So, balikan natin ang formula na ito. Remember, get out of the UNCLOS and the EEZ mindset. Amend our baseline law accordingly, renounce the arbitral award as a sign of good faith, and engage China in a conversation about historic rights. Let us meet them in that level, language, and attitude that they are, and we shall successfully run a conversation. Next week, I will tell you about the 4 foreign policies of China and why this formula will work under them. Maraming salamat po. Ito po inyong lingkod, Ado Paglinawan, nagpapaalam na. Sino ang berdugo ng kalayaan? Sino ang berdugo, mga kabansa? Si Carpio ba? Si Marcos Jr. ba? Ha? O lahat ng mga nanggugulo sa atin? Sino ang berdugo ng kalayaan? Kung kayo ay hindi berdugo ng kalayaan, sumubaybay kayo sa Katipunan Channel. Maraming salamat po.
Get ready.